Ask the Mayor. Your chance to ask the Mayor of Weymouth questions about the town and or anything else that you have concerns about. Ask the Mayor is pre-recorded. And now it's Mayor Bob Hedlund.
Hey, welcome back to another edition of Ask the Mayor. It's been a few, but Robert would like to welcome everybody back to the show where people get to ask you what's going on in the town of Weymouth. How are you today?
I think it's been the longest gap in filming since I've been mayor because Mary has been busy with promoting other things and agendas and shows, and we've been pushed down the totem pole a little bit.
Mary's very popular among the Weymouth.
Especially at campaign season.
It's
People
interesting
how
FaceTime. All the chickens come home to roost. She's friends with Paul, from what I understand.
I know, and they're fair. They're open access. They provide opportunity to everybody if there's a legitimate reason for you to be on there, I'm sure.
Well, listen, as you know, I've submitted my application for a Melody's Rants, an individual show, so let's stay focused on Ask the Mayor.
And
Bob.
you could probably tape about 20 episodes based on the rant-filled tirade that you went on when you entered the room. So I want to mention this, since we should probably note.
In fairness to the staff, there was a little touche, but neither of us were complaining to each other, but we both had an issue, I think it's fair to say. Let's segue over to the September show, Bob. We're 2 days before the anniversary of 9/11, and henceforth the prop we want to mention very quickly, a great little memento to remind us all about that horrible day.
Right, that was presented quite some time ago during my time in the legislature, and I believe there's part of a flag that flew over that site in that case, but
Son of a gun.
It's a remembrance, and the first issue stamp is pictured recognizing our first responders from that horrible event in 2001. So we'll be airing this obviously after the 9/11 ceremonies, but we have a lot planned this weekend. The ceremony at King Oak Hill Park, police and fire will be playing in a softball game later that day. So there's a lot of remembrances, not only here in Weymouth, but throughout the South Shore.
Bob, on that note, I know we have a lot of questions. Very quickly, I think nobody will ever forget where they were when they heard that news. Do you recall specifically where you were?
Oh yeah, of course, everybody does. Yeah. It was interesting that Councilor Kiley's, obviously she wasn't a councilor then, I knew her husband, who had just gone into business on his own, left a company that he worked for, a contractor, and I was meeting him before going into the State House to look at some work at my house. And I hadn't flipped on any radio or news or anything, getting ready for work, and met up with him, and he was the first one to tell me about it, so we went right to the television, and obviously never went into the State House that day.
Son of a gun. Well, it was a horrible morning, but a great way to remember and never forget.
So because we've been down the totem pole with WETC, a lot of questions, let's get to them.
Yeah, there we go. So Robert, let's start off with, we're wrapping up the summertime, so let's talk about George Lane Beach. I think George Lane Beach could be a crown jewel in our town.
Could be.
Could is an operative word here, because the next part starts with, could we build a more aesthetically pleasing lifeguard station, including storage, that would not include a cargo container on the beach? Could we at least deep six the cargo container and add decent restrooms? If we're going to charge for parking, we should provide some added value. Thank you, Anne Marie.
We have gotten a similar question.
Yeah, it comes up every now and again. What are you thinking about what's going on down there?
Let me see if I could reread this. I think you read it wrong.
Okay, perhaps.
Dear Mayor Hedlund, I wanted to take a moment to thank you for the tremendous improvements. Tremendous improvements that you've taken at Lane Beach since taking office in 2016. The acquisition of the beach rake has been incredible for improving the quality of the sand. The new parking lot, which has provided relief to the neighbors because of the control we're able to put in, eliminate seepage in revenues, has brought order. The new playground at the beach is a nice added accoutrement for the youngsters. The word that we just got on the dredging that we'll be doing based on the grant that we got will help boaters who use that great facility. The new float system that you installed is an Great addition to the beach.
And the beat goes
The handicap wheelchairs that allow handicapped people now to access this gem that have been utilized regularly was a tremendous enhancement.
We have handicapped beach wheelchairs?
Which were acquired through a grant.
Oh, cool.
The great work that's being done adjacent to that with the grants that have been secured for the final design work on the Fort Point seawall is a tremendous asset to the neighborhood. And the incredible paving job, Mayor, that you've done with the new sidewalks and road work leading to the beach with the new granite curbing is a nice accoutrement to. What else am I forgetting down there? The signage, the improved signage. Okay, but what have you done for me tomorrow? So we're talking about the storage container. Real quick. I'm sorry, Anne Marie, but Anne Marie, would this be AF possibly? Anyway, the storage container is there for multiple reasons, including storing the handicap beach wheelchairs. We did make some improvements to the bathhouse this year. It's been cleaned up. I've mentioned on this show before it was a pit, but new plumbing, new fixtures, paint, it's cleaned up. It does the job. The problem we have in trying to build a new bathhouse, which we did some investigatory work over the last 2 years, the permitting for that would be
Significant.
horrible and significant because of the location of the bathhouse. So, considering some feasibility work and relocating it maybe down the road, but then you're talking about having people having to cross the road to access that. So we open up a can of worms because of the regulatory issues that we would encounter to do that, but that's something ongoing as we look at. I failed to mention too the Beach Connection project, which we just got. It's actually going to be announced before the show airs, so I can mention it. Next week, we send staff down to Mass Maritime to receive $1 million grant for construction work. For construction work on the beach connection.
Thank you, Mary. Wow.
So that's a significant enhancement for the beach that I think will improve recreational opportunities down there. I think it's going to improve property values because the coastal embankment restoration is part of that. So there's a lot going down there. I'm sorry that we're not up to the standards of getting the lifeguard station enhanced, but I'm sure that'll come as we continue to make ongoing improvements down there.
Well, listen, I want to apologize to the viewers for misreading this question. As I think everybody knows, we don't see these questions in advance. We've been saying that for close to 100 shows. And I know myself, I'm a proud graduate of the Weymouth public school system where, in my opinion, it's the goodest school system in all 37 states. So I'm telling you, maybe I misread this, and I'd like to apologize to all the
Is it 87 or 57? Obama mentioned 57.
But there's a lot of good things going on down there. Touche. All right, let's move forward. Hello, Mayor Bob and Jim. Each year in the spring, we have a town-wide cleanup to celebrate Earth Day. Just a suggestion, but would it be a good idea to also encourage a cleanup day in the fall? With all that rain that we had this summer, the plants and weeds have grown at a rapid pace. Whatever work done in the fall helps make cleanup in the spring a little easier. Thank you from Marge West. That's not a bad idea. Marge, what do you think, Robert?
I don't know. I mean, we got a community of almost 57,000 people here. We have an annual, well-publicized spring cleanup day, and we get a couple hundred people come out. Although what was heartening was this year we had our biggest turnout ever. So
awesome.
I could be off on the numbers, but we get 200-300 people. A lot of civic organizations are kind of dying on the vine. Community groups don't exist. We're watching the Elks, even though they're keeping their charter, sell their building. Just don't see the civic involvement that you once did. And it's hard to get people to come out and do that kind of thing, Marge. Who, by the way, Marge seems to be approaching Ed Hartnett for most prolific writer to the show.
Big fan of yours,
The
Marge.
good news, Marge, is that there is one new community group that has sprung up that is doing lots of great work on a regular basis, and that is Keep Weymouth Beautiful, which I think has some kind of a charter from a statewide group called Keep Massachusetts Beautiful. Heidi Anderson of Union Point is, I think, the person heading that up, or one of the people involved in that. They're doing a tremendous job. And I would suggest, Marge, as an interim, we'll look at doing something in the fall. I love the idea because As you know from my rants, litter is one of my big bugaboos, but Keep Weymouth Beautiful has ongoing efforts to clean up the town and keep things tidy. And I would suggest, if you are on Facebook, Marge, go to their site, and they have some things. But I think as their chapter grows, and they are doing some great work, I think we've entertained the idea of doing some things in conjunction with them. So it might not be a town-sanctioned event, but it might be something we'll provide support to their group in doing maybe in the fall.
And thanks to all the folks who traditionally do come out and volunteer to do those cleanups. They make a big impact, obviously.
And we have a lot of fun that day. You know, we have a little gathering after, and it's been fun. Obviously, COVID put the damper on the gathering last year and this past year, but we're looking to have a bigger and better event next year. And some of the groups do great. You know, I mentioned there's less civic organizations, but the Weymouth Garden Club and North Weymouth Civic and the Union Point Neighborhood Association, if I have that title right, and so many groups get out there and do a great job.
And this Keep Weymouth Beautiful sounds great.
And different elected officials organize a group to go out, and some of the sport groups have gotten their kids out there to partake in the effort. So it's been good.
All in, as we say at the poker table. All right, Robert, I know trash is an issue for all of us and a big bugaboo for you. Not a perfect segue, but talk about same train, same track. Hello, Mayor Hedlund. I am Tracy, a resident of Weymothport. I appreciate all your efforts in helping Weymouth grow and thrive. We did a great job on Weymouth Cleanup Day down in North Weymouth. Today I want to ask 2 questions.
Did you put these deliberately like that?
No particular order, but there's certainly companion pieces. Robert, there's 2 questions here. Here's the first one. Can we please get cigarette butt containers for the beaches and parks along the water? Cigarette butts take 7 to 10 years to break down in the environment, and they contain cancerous materials. They end up in the water, and the poor ocean and sea creatures get exposed to these horrible, nasty butts. They have a new incentive called the Butler. Google it. Part 2. Can we please think about using bags to contain trash in Weymouth residential trash barrels? On trash pickup days, the automatic truck drops stuff everywhere it blows. This is a little, we could use a few comments. So on trash pickup days, the automatic truck drops stuff everywhere and it blows into the environment and residents after residents overfill their barrels. On windy days, the trash blows everywhere. It was better when there were trash guys throwing the trash bags into the back of the trash trucks because they would at least make an effort to pick up any loose flying trash. After trash day, there is litter everywhere. I hope we can please, in caps, emphasize, I hope we can please do another pickup Weymouth Day in the fall, as many people have leave beaches, parks, and boater trash in Weymouth. Thank you from Tracy Brennan, who obviously must be
Is this a coincidence for real?
With West, exactly.
2 questions in a row about doing a fall cleanup day.
That's interesting. And they're both
Get the camera on her, please. That's mind-boggling.
No,
that's pure coincidence.
These are legitimate.
These are legitimate people. I don't know Tracy Brennan. I know
But it's
Marge
coincidence
West.
that the one question after the other, you didn't.
There are a couple that are similar. A lot of
Trashy.
North
All right,
Weymouth
all right.
this week.
So let's talk
There's
trash.
a couple more North Weymouth people.
I forgot the first one.
Okay.
The cigarette butts. I know in a previous episode I went on a rant about litter, and you jumped on talking about people that throw the cigarette butts out the window. Do you remember
it
that?
Drives me crazy, of course. Yeah.
His pet peeve.
Yes, for sure.
Tracy.
And I can't believe they go away in 6 years, as she said. I thought they were there for.
I hope
for
this
600
isn't a woman
years.
from Brennan's smoke shop. I know it's not. It's not.
Who just opened? Did they just open up in Weymouth? Or they've been here?
There's an incarnation of it that's been there. The butler will look at it. I can tell you that as a former restaurateur, and we would have that out in front of our restaurant,
The butler?
people stole them.
Oh, hey now. What are those? The things you just stick the cigarette?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if it was another restaurateur that didn't want to have to buy one. We had 2 stolen in a short period of time.
And they look great in my backyard.
My partner gave up on getting another one and left a can out there.
Who the hell would
It says
steal those
butts on
things?
it.
How weird.
Who knows what people
Yeah, exactly.
do,
How
Jim.
weird.
So yeah, we'll take a look. I don't know. I mean, it's hard enough to get people to not throw their litter. We've talked about it endlessly. The litter up at Great Hill is a disgrace. Steve Riley caught the guy that every day threw
Great
his
story.
coffee cup and his Herald out his window. I can't get people to put a coffee cup in a trash can. I don't know how I'm going to get someone who smokes to go over and put it in the Butler. We'll look at it. But I do appreciate putting it on our radar screen, and we'll take a look at it.
Trash bags?
The trash bags, so all I can tell you is there's no way any community ever is going to go back to the old system, including Weymouth, because we're saving millions of dollars. Saving millions of dollars. And I do believe that under the old system, we had just as much loose litter flying around from the barrels as we do these containers. Yeah, it presents a problem when people overfill them, presents a problem when it's a real windy day and they get knocked over. I don't have the solution for that other than maybe, from my own personal experience, the containers could stand to be a little more bottom heavy so the wind didn't affect them as much.
Maybe a lock for the, you couldn't lock the top because they...
No.
Yeah.
But we're going to have actually some good news as to how well this trash system is working outside of the loose stuff that blows away. Our recycling costs have plummeted, and people don't understand that the state monitors communities' waste streams, and we're fined basically, or we're penalized, I should say, for the amount of contaminated recycling material going out. And we've just gotten some tremendous news in the past week. I think the news will be out before the show airs, but we're saving hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think maybe it's close to $1 million now because of the great work that the residents of Weymouth are doing in keeping the contaminated stuff out of their recycling bins. And the work that our coordinator is doing, name escapes me at the moment, I apologize, but our auditor who goes out, he's part-time, and he goes and inspects people's recycling bins and leaves a friendly little note informing them if they're making, if they're not following the right procedures with it, and it's paid some dividends. And,
So, this guy will come to your residence and maybe just open up your trash recyclable and check out
if
what
he
you have in
sees
there.
if he sees you got plastic bags in there which jam up the recycling machines,
Son of a
he'll
gun.
put a little sticker on there, make a note,
Yeah.
and it seems to have worked. And you'll see the signs out around town, reminding you about how to handle the recyclables. We've done some leafleting. We got a grant from DEP to mail the information out to homes. It is confusing. Sometimes I forget. No clamshells. I'm like, all right, what's a clamshell? Left over from an oyster or something, but it does get confusing. But people are doing a good job, and our folks up in the procurement office, when the news came through, were ecstatic, and we're saving some money right now. So more details on that.
Great news.
I'll mention it at an upcoming show too, but I think we have a press release that's going to go out very soon on that, probably within the next week or two.
Bob, if I could throw in, again, my own personal experience.
Next
We've
question,
seen
Jim.
loose trash flying in front of my house. I've seen the guy from Easy get out of his vehicle and pick it up. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience, but
I think
honestly,
he
have.
knows
So
because
I thought
you're
it
the
was great.
host of the show, and he didn't want you to say anything negative on the show.
Well, perhaps.
Is that the same guy that you were raving about that came by and filled the pothole?
No, but that's a heck of a nice service that they offer as well, considering that we're not a official
Is that the
road.
same guy that came out and painted the fire hydrant in front of your house?
That was me that painted that fire hydrant. Wait a minute, somebody came back and after I painted it, somebody from the fire department painted it, repainted
Yeah,
it.
because they were upset that you painted it lavender. It has to be either yellow, it has to be yellow or red, Jim. Yellow or red so they can find it.
Listen, I'm an artist.
All right, let's go.
All right, moving forward, Robert. Misuse of town property. Aha, finally, someone's caught up to you. Why is this allowed? Why should the owner at this Fort Point, I don't really understand. Why should the owner at this Fort Point property be allowed to permanently affix flags to public property? DPW should remove these flags immediately. Actually, he put a, this is actually from Ann, and she put a photograph. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to, if I can, she's have to come over here. So now it all makes sense. Again, we see these questions for the first time when we're reading them. And the question was, again, Robert, why should the owner at this Fort Point property be allowed to permanently affix flags to public property?
So someone's triggered with the American flag. What else is on there?
Oh boy, it looks like it's back to blue from where I'm sitting. Boy, I think they look great
What's
from
the
where I
third?
am.
What's the third one? I can't make out the third one. Oh, fire one.
Oh, jeez, for heaven's sakes!
So
Why wouldn't they be allowed to do that?
misuse of town property. So
It's a little aggressive.
we've had some active youngsters out in front of town hall on a regular basis, chalking the sidewalk, which is town property, putting political slogans on the sidewalk, which is town property. I don't know if you consider this a political slogan or not.
Positive
There's
one.
two things about this, but I'll get to in a second. But, you know, we didn't bother the kids that were chalking, even when they wrote, you know, Hedlund, beep.
I apologize for that.
There was negative language used to describe
Swear words,
our elected officials on Beacon Hill, me, a lot of political stuff, in addition to some positive messaging, but most of it was political. We let it ride, right? And I don't see, you know, why we shouldn't let this ride. But there's a second issue part of this. That section, from looking at the picture, I believe, of that seawall has traditionally been privately owned. And most of that road is privately owned. So I'm not sure where we are in the process of securing easements for Fort Point Road to eventually rebuild the seawall. It eventually will become town property. There's a question I would have to follow up on to determine whether it's town property yet or if it's still privately owned.
So in fact, it could be private property.
But either way, I got other things on my plate to worry about, a guy that puts up an American flag and a blue line flag right now.
I would say the same, and as you touched on.
And if they want me to start cracking down on that, we'll be consistent. We'll not let kids deface the sidewalk out front. A lot of people were offended with what was written on the sidewalks, and that's public property. So, like, we're going to start running around enforcing all this stuff, or just kind of like let a few things go. I don't know.
Well, I hope you
Right now, we're letting it go.
Swear words, I hope we're getting rid of immediately. You know, any sort of foul language, that's out of line, in my opinion. Bobby, we're running out of time on this episode of Ask the Mayor, so we want to encourage everybody, as always, we appreciate the feedback and the questions. Please send them along to askmayorbob@gmail.com, askmayorbob@gmail.com. And Rob, this
And by the way, in that last question, 2 days before 9/11,
yeah,
it's not really the day I want to go take some flags down,
son of a gun.
one of which honors firefighters, but anyway, go ahead.
Robert, this may be our last question of the show, so here we go. Hello, Mayor Bob and Jim. When the levee breaks melody, it's our good friend Ed Hartnett checking in. Robert, for months, almost every Ask the Mayor episode since 2019, you were looking for an invite to the Cubist Circle. They have now opened. Have they given you an invite to eat there? I'm not familiar with Cubist Circle, Robert. Tell us more. Thank you, Eddie.
I didn't ask for an invite. Well, first of all, when the levee breaks, can you explain? Do you know? Oh, so you looked at these in advance. What's it in reference to?
The Spike Lee documentary on New Orleans, right?
No, it's a Led Zeppelin song. Come on.
When the levee breaks? That was the name of Spike Lee's documentary on the hurricane down in New Orleans.
All right, come on.
All right, so go ahead.
None of you guys
All right, so this is
keep up with the pop
where is
culture
Cubist
references.
Circle?
So I think we got a question one time, and they said, what is going on with the building, this Cubist thing, blah, 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 on Route 53 across from BJ's, because it was being worked on for a year. And I think it was open at that point or something. And I made an analogy. I think I talked about when a new business comes to town, sometimes I'll be asked, hey, come on over to our opening.
Sure.
Other times, things just open, and it's as much a surprise to me as it is the person driving down the road. So I really didn't know anything about that place. I was just as curious as the person that wrote in. Obviously, I see things that come through here that go before the licensing board, and I know in that sense. But I said, you know, if I'm a business person, and the mayor's got this huge amount of followers on Facebook, and I invite him over to cut a ribbon and get some free publicity, it's not a bad marketing tool, Jim. I think you had some marketing background at one time.
I fully support that.
And I'll give you an example.
responsibilities.
I'll give you an example. We talked about it before. When Tarbashi opened up, we went over and did a ribbon cutting. I put it on the Facebook page. The thing went crazy.
Awesome.
And next time I went in there, the guy was going on and on about how crazy it got that week when the post went up. So people don't take advantage of that sometimes. And I said, I think I referenced, you know, too bad they didn't do the same thing that, you know,
Tarbashi did.
So I ended up going in there one day, and I think I had my son and his friend with him, and I was extreme. Like, she ended up giving me the tour of the place. I introduced myself, and it's incredible the amount of money they put in the place. And they haven't opened the downstairs yet, but they've got like a bar club set up. You're nodding? You've been downstairs? Oh.
I'm just listening.
You were there when it was Hunan Village.
Karaoke night.
Which I had a friend that continually called it Human Village. He didn't never read the sign right. I think he knew it was Hunan Village when he went in, but when he came out, it was Human Village. But
Could be another Weymouth High School grad.
no, they renovated. It's very unique inside. Very, very extensive, eclectic menu, which might not be to everyone in Weymouth's liking. There are a few things there that I wouldn't go near, but I got 2 fussy kids I brought with me, and they gave it a big thumbs up. And the sushi's good if you're a sushi person, so I give it a thumbs up. So Ed, yes, I get in there. I didn't get an invite, but I went and introduced myself, and I've been back a number of times, and I've actually gotten takeout also, so it's pretty good.
Wow, that whole
And I know
area is
you're a
hot.
connoisseur of Asian food, right?
I'm not one of my preferred dining directions, to be honest with you. I am trying to get in that general area. Have you been to Grill 53? I haven't been there yet.
When I said it was eclectic and might not be up for the taste of everyone in Weymouth, I had Mr. Melody in mind.
Yeah, he knows I'm a 2-trick pony.
Yeah, I'm not very adventurous in the culinary department. I stick to what I like. Wait a minute, can we talk about Grill 53 very quickly? Have you been?
Yes,
Okay. And Chris
been
DeMambrio's opened up
been
a
in
joint. Good for
twice.
him.
One
Excellent.
was brief, cocktail oriented,
Awesome.
and one was a meal oriented.
Beautiful.
It's a nice addition to the Weymouth dining scene.
Yep.
Wow. Well, listen, I think we're getting to very close to the end of this episode, Robert. Just real quick, you had touched upon something earlier. I think the Elks has been here for so long. You said a great civic organization. What is going on with that? So they sold it? Are they wrapping up their charter? Will they exist in the town of Weymouth?
Keeping their
Okay.
charter.
Okay. But they're going to have another building?
Function business has dropped off. They're in
Yeah.
some financial difficulty and
Sure.
selling the property, and they're looking to rebuild and do a smaller facility.
So they will be still a civic organization in our town, just in a different location.
They've gotten permission from the national organization to take this, employ this strategy, and that's what they're doing, and they're keeping the charter. And again, they're looking for property right now to build a new building once the transaction happens. And we're actually, we're working with the people that have it under agreement because we've told them that we don't want what they wanted to do there.
Sure. But the good news is, you just gave me a little bit.
I mean, it's zoned. I can only stop certain things legally, but they've been cooperating with us, and we told them we'd rather see them get creative and not apartments at that location, which will be jarring for people, given that almost everyone in this community that's lived here longer than 3 years has some connection to that place one way or another. Think about every baby shower you went to, wedding shower, high school reunion, Joanna Mullen Run, you name it.
Yeah. I was concerned.
They've sponsored probably 1,000 sports teams through the years of their existence. I mean, that entity, whether you're a member or not, the facility or the organization has touched almost everyone's life in this town. So we don't want to see something that isn't an improvement there.
Well said. I was concerned they were going away as an entity, as you were talking about some of those civic groups going away, and we definitely, they're a keeper, and they've done tremendous, great, work through the years. All right, Robert, I think we're wrapping up this episode. We want to thank everybody, as always, for tuning in. We want to remind everybody one final time to get those questions out to askmayorbob@gmail.com. And Robert, any final thoughts as we look to say
Good.
goodbye?
Just thinking of everyone on 9/11 and be safe.
Yep. So on that note, for the first time I think in the history of the show, let's end on that note without suggesting people tune into a follow-up program that we allude to from our days of youth. Let's everybody take a moment to remember 9/11 and the importance of that event and how it impacted so many in our country and around the world.
Well said.
Thank you.
If you have a question, please email the mayor at askmayorbob@gmail.com. That's askmayorbob@gmail.com. Maybe your question will be answered on the next episode of Ask the Mayor.